You leave my little bowling ball out of your mouth unless it's really going to happen, because I can't get my hopes up like that.
I know.
I love me some KO. I love me
I'm
some
just
KO.
saying, for this podcast, and like we talk about storylines, that's what I would do.
Our names are Matt Jackson and Sean Green. We were just veterans BSing in parking lots about wrestling and their storylines until last year when... Dude, why are we just talking about this? We should record it and start a podcast. When you start a podcast, you have no clue what you're doing. You fumble through all the technology.
Yep, you're back up, but you froze for about a minute. Oh, you're gone.
You rely on Google searches and reviews to piece it all together. You rely on your co-host for insightful content.
Surprise, surprise. Dude, you've got an iron bladder. Just have to go again.
You make some friends along the way.
The big man himself, El Jefe himself, Mikey.
Okay, let's just rip the Band-Aid off, shall we?
Hi, Nick. Long time no see.
This is going to be a match of the future real soon.
You eventually reach 100 subscribers.
Reese hit our 100 subscribers, so perfect timing for Reese.
Bottom line is, as you continue to push out content, you'll always have a podcast. With all that said, welcome to the If We Had the Pencil podcast. Here are your hosts, Sean Green and Matt Jackson.
Welcome to a fun-filled edition of the If We Had the Pencil podcast. I'm your host, as always, on the road, Sean Green. And with me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, my one and only tag team partner, the real Florida man himself, Matt Jackson. Matt, how the hell are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Guess I'm glad we're still tag team partners. Just don't drop the hammer and turn on me.
Hey, sometimes we go into fatal four-ways, too, with other pods, so it's all good. So, it's an exciting time for If We Had the Pencil, to be honest with you. Like, we've gone into season 2, new intro, and boy, we got some stuff planned for y'all. So, as everybody probably knows, like, WWE is just sprinting right now. Like, Backlash is, like, next weekend. You know, and we just had Mania, so it's like, all right, we're doing this. Like, let's go. So, but
and we had a whole bunch of releases and a whole bunch of call-ups. So definitely, it's
just that time of year
right now.
But before we get into that, so as an exclusive mini-series to our listeners out there on YouTube, here's some exciting news. Maybe, maybe not. For those of you that do or do not know, Matt and I are both big-time NASCAR fans. If you can't tell, as I'm wearing all my Ross Chastain, Caputo, paraphernalia. But,
yeah, I'm just wearing my got home from the beach and too lazy to change the shit out.
That is why you are the Florida man. Oh, Matt and I are huge NASCAR fans. This all spun off from multiple just sidebar conversations with people, like throwing out ideas. We're always looking to get better and do something different. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have something. It's going to be like a little playlist series on your YouTube, so you got to subscribe. Make sure you turn on your alerts. But If We Had the Pencil is going from ringside to trackside.
Man, I'm such a good driver. A little loose. We got to bring it in, tighten it up. Rear end was kicking out.
That's right. That's right, folks.
Once I went throttle up, the rear end kicked out, man. We got to tighten that car up a little bit.
Yeah, I turned off the audio so nobody heard how crappy the car was running. No, we didn't sponsor a race car, though that would be cool. Anyways, someday when we get bigger, help us out. Tell your friends.
And a lot of human monies.
I need a lot of human monies. Maybe we can get our logo by all the little itty bitty ones, but
yeah.
No. So what this series is going to be for you folks, like I said, it's going from ringside to trackside. So it's a little bit of our NASCAR flair, but for the next couple of weeks, your host is actually attending 2 NASCAR races back to back. And these are the races that we traditionally hit. So the good news is our normal Tuesday podcast next week will be from Watkins Glen. We won't be at the track yet, but we'll be there. On top of that, you're going to get a little bit of flavor. I'm going to show, we're going to have a little series that kind of shows you everything that goes into going to these events and give you an idea of why it's so damn fun. Even if you're not a huge race fan, you got to understand why it's fun. So we're all going to be there, and I'm going to show you as much as I can, give you guys a flavor. You're going to get 2 different flavors. So you're going to get a road course flavor, so Watkins Glen, and then you are going to get an oval flavor from Dover. And the hilarity of all this is my kids will tell you, and that they just got into this life a couple of years ago. They said, we love to go to Watkins Glen just to party. And they said, we like the racing at Dover. So you guys are all going to get to see it.
At Dover too, so that's a big event. Yep. So that'll be cool.
And there's also some wrestling flair that's going to pop up while we're in Dover.
Woo!
Just a little bit of a hint.
Not that flair. You might find that flair at the bar at the track, but you won't.
There's plenty of bars around Watkins Glen, around the track. Like, you just got to know where to go. Concerts all weekend long.
Not trying to be a heel here, but if I lived in upstate New York for 4 years. Yeah, there should be a bar everywhere in upstate New York.
This is the southern tier, though.
Oh, it's really southern New York.
It's on the PA border.
You're still 6 hours from New York City? That's not south. You're like west.
That's all right. The city isn't really part of New York. It's the city. So, as a true Western New Yorker, I very much judge New York City.
Yeah, when I was at Fort Drum, it was like that too. We got to do this because we have to pay for the sins of the city.
Yep.
It's like gas
pretty
is
much
expensive, and pack of smokes is like $14. New York's ridiculously expensive.
But there you go, folks. So make sure you're checking out our YouTube channel coming up. You'll get a little bit of this series. So, like I said, it's a mini series.
It's going to be cool.
But I'm going to take you guys all the way through the entire process. And what I mean by that is starting this Saturday, probably, or Friday or Saturday this weekend, there'll be a short going up, kind of showing you our pre-prep. Sunday, we hit the road. Monday, we stage. We have a separate campground. Tuesday, normal podcast, but we'll talk about it. And then Wednesday, we go to the track, but you guys get to experience all that. Little bit of an opportunity to get out of our wrestling bubble. So it'll be a lot of fun. But, Matt, you mentioned it earlier. Lots of cuts. It's that time of year. Mm-hmm. And honestly, at the end of the day, I kind of get it. So, rumor on the street is a lot of these cuts were off of SmackDown. A lot of these cuts were because they're going to a 2-hour format because we have to watch Braun Strowman shove food in his face. Okay, whatevs. It is what it is. It happens every year. And the reality is he has a glut of talent and only so much airtime.
You said Braun Strowman eating food, and then you said glut.
I know. I'm a wordsmith.
Poet. It's Shakespearean even.
I know. 'Tis and 'twas. All that good stuff.
So as you can tell, there wasn't a lot on the shows. We were in a jovial mood tonight, so it won't be 2 hours of trying to cover WrestleMania and a Raw and a SmackDown. Nothing earth-shattering.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second. I think I put it in our text group, and, I need people to realize WWE, like any other TV series, is serialized TV. So we have to understand that there's ebb and flows to any series. The series finale is always WrestleMania, right? And then most shows will leave you on a cliffhanger to suck you in for the next season. Those are your post-Raw and SmackDown, post-Mania Raw and SmackDowns. Then we hit the reset switch. Well, Matt, this week was the reset switch. Not bad, not great, but I think we introduced a lot of the characters, and I think we just got to give it time to kind of bubble up to the surface, right?
But that was definitely the thing they were hitting at, because I think we were expecting a really big Raw after WrestleMania, and it kind of looked like it was kind of a two-parter. They introduced some new people, but there was nothing earth-shattering. But they kind of promoted more stuff for what ended up being last night. So I think you're right. I think they're really leaning into more of the episodic and not just doing a super mega show, but trying to keep going with the
I
storyline. The problem is you have a pay-per-view exactly 3 weeks after WrestleMania.
yeah. Yeah, it's like red light, green light, go. And like I think it's also important to kind of understand that we've also introduced a lot of young talent. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like Sol Ruka's coming up, Ethan Page is coming up. We saw Joe Hendry this week. Like we already had our other younger talents like Trick Williams, Obafemi. So like
Fatal Influence made a huge impact on SmackDown that we'll talk
Fatal
about.
Influence made a huge impact. That's actually a really good point. But the point, whew, they knocked it out of the park. But we'll get into that. But like
Royce Keys is getting a jump start now. We're starting to see him.
And we knew that. We talked about this before Mania, right? Like everybody's like, what about this guy? What about that guy? What about this guy? And it's like, Woosah, mofo. Woosah. We transitioned to a new era, and you can't convince me of otherwise. I'm probably not at a full Spike the Football era yet, but I'm damn close. And I've been saying this for months because young talent's coming up, the old guard's going away. Brock Lesnar's now out of the picture. Like, that's important
Mm-hmm.
because now, like I said, the call ups are no slouches. They kind of showed up and you went, okay, I get it, you know? And I got it with, Ethan Page, I'm excited for. There's a lot that I'm excited for.
And so guys like CM Punk, this is probably the last you're going to see him probably around the world title picture, I would think. It should be. You
I think he is setting himself up to go after Cody.
Yeah, I think so too. But you're not going to see Punk having long title reigns anymore because he's getting older. Randy Orton might get 15 at some point too, but how long is that going to last? They're not going to be around much longer. Punk's what, 46 or 47? Randy's pretty close to. I mean, these guys are mid 40s, and this is when they start getting a lot of injuries.
But let's grind through it. Let's just grind
through
through it. We'll touch on a lot of this stuff because I know there's some of these topics we gonna go long. But yeah, so they all start showing up. They're getting off the bus. We get Trick Williams, Lil Yachty's there, and the Gingerbread Man. And then Danhausen pulls up with a big cutout of Stephen A. Smith giving him shit about the freaking Knicks, which I love it, dude. I love that guy is just a gold printing machine, man. And what's funny is, so you got Dave Metzler's out there like, they're gonna burn him out. They're gonna burn him out. Nobody's gonna burn him out. His stuff is fresh every time. He gets it. Danhausen gets it. He knows how to work the shtick. You know what I mean? Like, he knows. He knows how to get around and kind of poke the right buttons.
And I think it looks like he's going to be more of a SmackDown guy, but we'll see. I hope they don't pull his time when they go down in 2 hours.
I think he's going to flip flop, and I think
I saw some.
You don't need him for much.
No, you really don't. But he was featured a lot.
His current program is with Kit Wilson and The Miz, and they're on SmackDown. And I'm sure that'll drift off eventually, but but we get Jacob Fatu out. Then we get the most gutless, worthless, spineless tag team in WWE history, the Usos. Coming out, trying to talk him out of it, tell him to go after Cody, blah, blah. I'm going to say this now, and I will say it again later. While I don't think the Bloodline, current incarnation, or whatever the hell they call themselves Monday.
The First Family, I think he said.
First Family or something like that. I don't think they're designed to go long, but it's already annoying for me because I don't want to relive it, right? Like, and honestly, from a character standpoint, I got it, man. Family, but whatever. It just doesn't. Why are we running this back? Like, Roman being on his own would have been so much more compelling. Right? And the worst part about it is, I get that you forgive family, but like, bro, they went from their own thing. Jay went from a world champion, and they're just like cronies now. They went from like supervillain or superhero supervillain status down to crony. They're the equivalent of the Joker's guys, like
Yeah.
running around doing, dude.
They're lackeys,
know-
is what they're almost lackeys now. I'm going to talk about it more when we get into Raw because I want to kind of encapsulate like the entire 2 shows.
But the problem is now we're getting double dipped on both shows because SmackDown is Jacob's show, and like it's just like, why are you going after Tribal? Why are we sweating this shit? But
I mean, I don't have a problem with Jacob at all. It's logical. Like
no.
You don't like Jacob going after Roman?
I don't care. No, I said it the other night, and I stand by it. I think with the quick flash bang for Backlash, it was something that it was almost like a preheated TV dinner. You just had to pop it in the microwave and get it a little bit warmer, and you're good to go. But the overarching story, but like you said, we'll get into it on Raw because there was some things said on Raw that really stuck out to me. So, we get backstage, Julia and Kiana James, a little bit of, one of them they're probably pending a breakup, but we'll see. Then we get a pretty good match, man. We get Julia and Tiffany Stratton, and they worked. It's probably the best I've seen them work together. On top of, since Tiffany's come back, I don't think people realize, like, she's been a lot more crisp in her matches. And, this one was fine. It ran long. It was just great. So, no issue.
I didn't like how they wrapped it up too quick. Julia, like, dominated Tiffy for, like, 5-6 minutes, and then Tiffy hit a couple of moves and hit the prettiest moonsault like it was over. But I think they ran out of time, and I think they were told to go home. But, yeah, it was really good. And I think this might be a better spot for Tiffany around that U.S. title for now rather than the world title. I think they rushed her way too soon for her first title run, and I think they noticed it because it fell flat. So I think let's get her established. These intermediate titles. If you got Becky Lynch holding the IC title, there's no shame if Tiffany Stratton is holding the U.S. title. So I think it's a great spot for her, and I'm glad she got the title, and I'm sure they'll run it back with Julia. So we'll see, but I liked it.
I do too, and I think we're gonna see some more stuff and things. Like, I think the women's division is kind of in the midst of a shakeup right now, and I think talent's gonna start shifting around a little bit. I think they're trying to get those up and comers kind of going, but then we're going back to cinematic moment or pre-tape promos or not even promos, skits,
vignettes,
something.
Whatever. Yeah,
vignette, and we get Danhausen, who basically invites himself into Miz's house.
Hello, the Miz.
Ends up in his pool. He tells him to get out of the pool, and he's like, I got out of that pool. I'm in this pool now. Like, just so much little shit that just made me laugh.
And then he's not wearing anything gothic in the pool. He's like in brightly colored shirt and
it's like Hawaiian shirt, like
what total tourist mode.
Pool floaty, like, oh my god, it was just brilliance, and it made me laugh. It really did, and it's just, I love it. I love that little thing, and they play off of each other really, really
well. I think what we found out, and a lot of people probably already know, is that Miz had a lot to do with the whole Danhausen, Kit Wilson skit at WrestleMania. That was all the Miz, like, hey, let's do this, and some of Danhausen talking to Cena. But I think the Miz is having a good time.
I think he is, and I think the funniest part about all of it was it went from, at least from watching an interview with one of we're allowed to call them this, midgets that were involved, he was actually talking about the whole process, how they were just supposed to come out, and then it kind of morphed into this whole thing, and Miz started pitching stuff, and then Cena got a little bit involved, and it was like, it came out great. And like,
Yeah.
they're really playing on it really well too. And we're not getting a lot of in-ring, which is fine for this, because like we can stretch that rubber band out a little bit, right? There's enough other stuff going on SmackDown to, there's only two dudes. There's Kit Wilson and The Miz, right? Like, we can only run that in circles so many times. So the fact that they're stretching it out with these vignettes and stuff like that, it's really good.
Yeah.
So.
And then it's always fun when you get to throw food at your wife to have a reason for it. And now she's played along, saying that she's going to get a lawyer and get Danhausen brought up on charges. It's funny.
So, Matt, I have to diverge from wrestling for one moment, because something very important is going on while the recording of this podcast is going on. How are you feeling about tonight, big guy?
Oh, Boston Buffalo. Yeah, elimination game for us. Did it just kick off?
It just kicked off. It vibrated my watch, so I was like, oh, that is tonight. And I was like, for those of you who don't know, Matt is a huge, like, New England sports fan. So, like, Boston teams, everything else. I'm from Western New York, so I'm a Bills and Sabres fan. So, Patriots, Bills, Matt and I, we don't really trash talk each other, but it's there. And then for the first time in, like, 14 years, the Sabres are in the playoffs, and who do they pull? Of course, the Boston Bruins. So we have actually, dip, dive, ducked talking about this, but how you feeling, bud?
I really haven't been following it. I haven't watched the game live, just been so busy with everything else, but.
Yeah, same.
We're done, man. When Swayman got pulled and he screamed at his team on the bench because they were that bad, you're not going for it.
That last game was rough.
Yeah. So, I've been busy, man. It's that time of year, finishing up school, getting ready for the summer. Doing school during the summer, too. But, weather's good, man. I'm busy, so.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's NASCAR season, too.
Yeah,
but NHL playoffs are always interesting. But I had to take a break from your regularly scheduled podcast to kind of bring that up. But
I've been telling you off to the side, like, we're not built for. I'm not surprised, so I'm not going to cry. And the Red Sox suck this year, but we're undefeated since we fired our manager. We're 3-0. We're like Danhausen, unbeaten, undefeated.
All curses hitting, all matches hitting, Hall of Famer. Danhausen's got it all. So Tiffany Stratton cuts an interview. Then we get the Bella and Paige, and then it turns into a match. Which, fine. I think we just got to accept it is what it is. You know what I mean? And, of course, we get Charles Robinson, so we're all like, ref bump incoming. But it doesn't really end up being a ref bump. We get the introduction of Fatal Influence. And they picked the right place to introduce them because they got heat.
Yeah, right away.
They got heel heat. Big.
And it's a good way to protect Charlotte and Alexa anyway. I think the match went, 4 or 5 minutes, and then it just went to a no contest. And Fatal Influence just started destroying everybody. So that great intro. And then they brought him back continually in the show. I really like that. It wasn't a one and done. Like, they still interviewed him backstage. And very good. They've been doing good at introducing these young kids, Sean. From Javon to
they're doing great.
Trick.
And they're
not just throwing them out there.
They're showcasing them well.
And, like, here they are, like, say whatever you wish. Like, they're actually putting them out there with a purpose. So they instantly, the fans can make a connection either way with them.
This is peak why I love our podcast. The fact that we're main roster only, and we try like holy hell, though I am going to watch AAA if I get an opportunity.
Well, I'm watching
big match
May
coming.
30th. May 30th, I'm watching that. Mass v. Mass.
We'll talk about it. But no, they're doing great. And the best part about it is, if you want unbiased opinion about these people, like, obviously I've heard of Ethan Page. Obviously I've heard of Sol Ruca. I've heard of some of these wrestlers, but I haven't watched them. I haven't watched their development, right? Like, this is the equivalent of being an NFL only guy and you don't watch college football, right? Like, players get drafted and you're like, okay, let's see what you can do, kid. And that's really what it is for Matt and I. There are times, stand and deliver, where I really wanted to stray, and I'm glad I didn't. So, no, they're doing a great job. They're, like you said earlier, we get a video package for Royce Keys, and it was like, cool. We're getting to understand the characters and getting a really good introduction. And newsflash, it's a lot of them. It's a lot of new talent coming up.
Oh, tons. It's almost a totally revamped roster. And I think it's going to let, for a lot of these older guys, to get more time off where they can pull them away. So they're not in there all the time getting dinged up.
Well, they got to save themselves for Mania.
Yeah.
Nostalgia Mania.
Yeah.
Everybody
they'll probably get Flair and Sting for that one. Really, for the last time ever, we promise. No, really, we mean it. Ric Flair.
No, he's really retired. No, honestly, he's retired.
And then
So
Cody
we
Rhodes
get
does a
Cody.
promo and has bad math or bad memory. Well, I think he might still be concussed because he did call out TKO, but said that they were 0-3 trying to screw up his WrestleMania. John Cena beat you at WrestleMania last year, so you're 1-2. Oh, they're 1-2.
That punt last year, or at Mania, I've noticed with Cody, and I don't know if it's just character. If it is, he's doing great, or if it's real. But his vocabulary, his lisp, has all come back like tenfold.
Randy kicked it out of him. He knocked the
I know it
loose.
Sounds silly, but if you listen to Cody Rhodes these past couple of shows, and you listen to Cody Rhodes pre-Mania, it's noticeable. So, and I don't think they're doctoring the eye. I think he took a legit shot, and he's the kind of guy that will take a legit shot. But
I don't know if he'll
just
take
ain't
one of
feeling
those
it, dude. Like, I said it
And
before on this podcast.
Randy? We haven't seen Randy since night one WrestleMania, so I don't know. Is the back really hurt, or is he just taking a break? But we've heard nada from Randy Orton.
I really don't know. And, I'm not going to complain about it because, less is more a little bit. But, he called out Randy, he called out Sammy, and it's just, I don't know, man. He's just so, what's your word?
Yeah.
Like white American cheese, man. Ugh.
You could probably have told Dusty, cut a promo about a bar of soap, and Dusty would give you 2 minutes and it'd be enthralling. And you would kill somebody to go find a bar of that soap, where Cody's just, once in a while, he'll cut a promo where it sounds really authentic and you get it behind it. But it's just kind of like,
it's only when he's angry.
All right, make
it's
point
only
A,
when
make
he's
point
angry.
B, make point C, refer back to point A for point D, but it's very structured. And I was going to mention this too about, and we'll talk about it when we cover Raw, but that's what I felt too about the Roman Usos promo stuff. It's
so much wrong with that.
Yeah, a million.
So much wrong.
But yeah, it was nothing super exciting. Man, the Cody Rhodes title run is just...
He should have lost. And they're, the excuse that, we're going to do a longer program. He should have lost. You could have just had, sore winner Randy do everything that he did at the end of that. And it would have made Cody's promos 10 times more effective. Because then he could come out and be like, you took the title off me, but you couldn't stop there. No, you had to try to ruin my career. Instantaneously more compelling than what we're getting right now.
Yeah. I mean, we're not even getting Randy Orton either. So it's just Cody out there, blah, blah, blah.
Well, considering Randy carried everything going into Mania, I think it's time Cody started carrying some shit. Because, he might have been there, but Randy was carrying it. So, Randy made you give a crap. And, TKO interference, you could have done that better. There's a lot you could have done better. So, I digress. Well, then we get a fun little tag match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. We get R-Truth and Priest versus Mateo and Tamatanga. It was a fun little match.
It was.
You know? And
It
I
was.
honestly went into that match, and some of that match, going into that match, I felt like it was going to be like R-Truth and the Miz's run after they won the tag team titles together. You know, and I was like, they're just going to take it off of them now, right? But I don't think they know what to do with Priest, so whatevs.
I think it's a good spot for him, and it gives a different side to Priest.
Well, they play off of each other very well.
Yeah, I look forward every week for R-Truth trying to break Priest. And I thought Mateo, I just can't take JC Mateo seriously with that face paint, bro. He looks like a demented panda. Next time you look at a picture of him with makeup, he does. He looks like a satanic panda.
This is going to be blasphemous. Every time I see JC Mateo, do you know what wrestler I think of? Rhino.
Well, he's built like him. Yeah, he is.
I can't get past it. Right. And it's what I always see. I cannot get past it.
And I want to. He's a legit wrestler. I mean, Rhino was a freaking killer. And this Mateo, he just kind of like bounces around like, yeah. But anyway, it was fun. I don't want to stay on it too long.
No, I don't want to take away from it. And honestly, you're right. It was fun. We'll get into it at Raw because there's a lot of...
The MFTs, they're just not intimidating. They're just a group. There's nothing special about Solo and the MFTs.
You ever watch the show with the Goldbergs?
No, never did. I heard of it.
Okay, so the one son has his group of friends. They call them JTP, Jenkintown Posse. You know, just regular teenagers, like little group, like the little clique, right? Like you got your little clan of buddies you always hang out. That's what MFT is to me.
Yeah, they're not a threat to anybody. Like, you probably don't want to mess with them, but they're really, overall, they're not totally harmless. Like, have you ever seen the movie, the documentary, The Weird and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia? Where this this family that they call the Whites, and they're in like the Appalachians, and they just wreak havoc on this whole town. The cops are tired of dealing with them. The mayor can't, like, they were pissed they were doing a documentary on him because nobody could stand this family. MFTs need to be like the Weird and Wonderful Whites. Like, they just need to wreak havoc, and they don't. Even the Vision now has gotten watered down. And I've got injuries with the Vision has changed things, but there's just not one faction that is running roughshod.
I don't want one faction running nuts.
You kind of got to have a...
You can have a strong faction without them just, like, totally dominating everything. Right? That's why Bloodline got kind of annoying after a while. Because it was like, I have something non-related, and then it became related, and you're just like, please, let's move on.
I'm not talking about the Bloodline, but... No one complained when the Horsemen had the title or other factions. DX used to hold all the gold. Evolution. That's what I'm talking about. That type of faction that everybody's like, that's the faction. Like, they're the ones that
they're doing. I think they're doing too much to isolate the titles, right? Like, they want each title to have its own story and not bleed together.
Right.
And it's like. And the problem is, and I know it keeps on coming up, the problem is with the Bloodline, if you put tag titles on the Usos, it's just same. You've already played that track. You just flipped it back over to side A and hit play again. That's all you did. Like,
the Vision were getting there until the injuries started happening. Until Braun and Bronson went down, the trajectory was the Vision was they were going to... Maybe they didn't have all the titles, but they were causing chaos and running roughshod and doing kind of what they wanted. That's what I'm talking about. That was like, the Vision was getting fun. Where MFTs is just kind of like, okay, it's 5 guys. They wear menacing face. They don't really... They're not a...
But...
It's not a life
I think the problem with...
threat.
I think the problem with the MFT is there's only 1.5 mouthpieces, right? You have you have Solo, and you have Tama.
That's it.
Right.
No one else. Everybody else just stands there.
None
looking.
of the rest talk. They just sit there and huff. You know, Wyatt Six, unfortunately, they're gone now. Like, there was, when they did talk, it felt more profound. Whereas this just feels like, we got this.
Yeah.
We'll talk for you. Just sit there and look
what
menacing.
he's like. What Solo says. What he says. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
no
You
individuality.
got it, boss. Lackeys.
Yeah.
Lackeys.
All
right. So there we get part 2 of the Danhausen at Mrs. House freaking thing. And there was just...
He broke his slammy. He picked up the slammy and, like, knocked the base of it off. And it rolls on the floor. I saw it because I watched it like 15 times. Like, Danhausen even, like, looks down at it like, oh well.
He's so good at playing stuff like that off, though. Never mind.
Yeah.
He'll do stuff like that. Like, there was a clip of him, like, coming out in his little Danhausen mobile, and, like, the smoke machine was just going nuts. He was like, oh, that's unfortunate. And, like, just ignores it and moves on.
He stole
he acknowledges
the daughter's bike. He rides it by a Cybertruck. Calls it a spaceship.
Big money.
Yeah. No, he said it was a spaceship.
Not a spaceship. So it is funny. I want to point out that there is some really intricate long-term storytelling, and to fully appreciate what's going on between Danhausen and The Miz, you have to follow them both on social media. They are taking shots at each other. So that golf simulator, that trophy room, Miz posted about that like a couple of weeks ago. And then all of a sudden, oh, yeah, playing golf and, whatever. But yeah, no, it makes me laugh. All right. So our boy comes out with his boy, Lil Yachty. First off, them sharing the pedestal was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was.
And then if you didn't know that Sami Zayn was in the gingerbread man's costume, first off, like when they're bringing him out, he's like, and the gingerbread man's in a separate room. He's like, yo, GBD, let's go. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so freaking hilarious. And they're like walking through the halls. He like trick slaps somebody like, oh my God.
Yeah. Just because. I think the guy asked him a question. God forbid.
He was trying to ask him something. He was just like, whack. And
I
like,
faced him
we
and
knew
shoved
it was Sammy. And there's a little bit of goodness in this, putting Sammy in that costume, because it let Goofball Sammy, who is now a heel, be Goofball Sammy. And like, it was just so good. So good.
It was. And I guess Yachty's full time now. He's going to be.
I'm interested to see what that plays out. So if you listen to the podcast, thank you. And then on top of that, you'll know Sean is a huge advocate of making a couple new managers. Paul Heyman is not as brilliant as Paul Heyman is. He's on the Mount Rushmore for this freaking podcast. Paul can do no wrong. He's not going to be around forever.
And he's the only one right now.
And we need a couple of managers. The fact that Lil Yachty is going to be hanging out with Trick Williams, and he basically said, I'm in this. I'm in it full time. And then later on social media this week, we get an endorsement from, of all people, Paul Heyman. And Paul's basically saying, like, yeah, I know celebrities in our business are getting some flack right now, but Lil Yachty's the real deal. And I think it's perfect. I'm going to laugh. I kind of joked about it when Trick came out because he had the hat on. I was like, my God, he's giving off Godfather vibes. All he needs is hose now. Just like, we traded out the hose for the gingerbread man. Okay, cool. But
yeah.
There was a lot of good stuff in that segment, and all the lead up to the reveal that we all knew was happening. It was funny. It was funny, and it was well done, and I loved it. They shut down the U.S. Open, U.S. Open Challenge, which makes sense, and I like it. And we'll talk about it later. I don't want to get into it now because there's a tie-in to Raw there. Then we get Royce Keys backstage, basically just getting to know him. Solo just gives him crap. All right. then we get the payoff. So we've had 2 vignettes with Danhausen and The Miz, and now we get a match. It was just a comedy match. It was brilliant. So brilliant. Just fun little match, and whew, I enjoy it.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it. It went as long as we needed it to go. And again, just funny stuff. I don't even grade these matches. It was comedy. Thumbs up. It was good. A lot of Danhausen on SmackDown. That was a big night for him.
Yep. And then they reel their eggs ahead again. So JC Jane comes out with her little crew, and we get typical, Rhea Ripley, I'm a fighting champion, which is good for that title. And yeah, just this match kind of went the way you thought it was going to go, but it was a great intro match. Like, hey, new talent, check them out. And
JC
right there in the title picture.
Oh my God, JC was great at getting heat too. Like she got insta heat. And
That whole group.
Fallon, I want
that
to
whole
make sure
group.
Fallon Henley and Laney Reed, yeah, they got heat. But we watched the match and JC put Rhea in a headlock, and the fans like booed the crap out of the fact she put her in a headlock.
Well,
that's a good sign. If you're pissing,
there
the
was a
fans
little
off by
ring
putting a hero-
psychology there.
It was great.
Because like the match was like starting to pick up a little bit, and she slowed it down. They're like,
Yep.
so it was good. It
I
was
love
really good.
Quite the yeah. So it was quite the debut. Even though she took the loss, but Rhea goes over by DQ. I think it was an outstanding debut, and the other two girls look great. So I want to see more of them, and I want to see what they bring to the table.
So we got the last match of the night, right? And it's Solo and Jacob. And I don't think the match was the point. It's what happened after the match was this. And that was, the Usos kind of standing on the ramp, like they were going to make the save. And then Jacob just cleaned shop. And it was so good, made him look so big. And it was well done, right? Because, like, again, it was setting up to be a trope. Like, the good guy's getting beat up and blah, blah, blah. And it worked out where he was like, no, he ends up standing tall, which was great.
And that's important to the story because he wants to stand on his own.
Yep.
And I think, we're going to talk about it, but I really like how it flowed into Monday's night show. It kind of picked up where it left off, and it was really good. Really
it did
good.
Because we kick off Raw, we get a recap package, and then we get a vignette Bloodline promo. And look,
if Jey Uso wants to call himself an actor, he needs to go in the dictionary and look at what the definition of an actor is. Because, bro, that dude is horrible. A raw bull. I've been waiting for 40 minutes to say this. Jimmy is, and Roman's no better either. Jimmy's about the best promo of that group.
For sure.
Roman just repeats the same 4 things. And then
it's funny because, like,
I mean, Jay's acting like they're giving him electroshock therapy, like, in the middle of the thing. Like, when he just starts freaking out. And I'm like, good Lord, like, easy there, Jay, blood pressure.
My God, it's like they gave him, like, a case of Red Bull and were like, here, down this right before this. And he's just, like tweeting from South Park, like, really? Dude.
It's like
okay.
It's like Beavis all hopped up becoming Cornholio, But anyway,
TV references.
More to follow about the Roman Uso thing, but man, that pre-tape thing was terrible. Like
I didn't think it was terrible, but I think the problem is
contrived and fake. It was just, I couldn't wait for it to be over. I'm like, it was the shits, in my opinion.
I think they have a problem. I do think they have a problem because, well, when you look back on something that you liked, you forget about the warts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Bloodline has this kind of nostalgia thing. There's a lot of rewriting history right now with the Bloodline, and it's like, yeah, we'll save it for the end because I got some stuff to get off my chest.
I think the key to this whole story is, and I can say it now because I don't think he really says anything the rest of the show, is Jimmy. I think Jimmy's the voice of reason. I think he's the one that's going to call Roman out on
Somebody
his BS.
somebody equated it to, we always talk about good angel, little devil on the shoulders, that Jay is the little devil and Jimmy is the good angel.
Yeah.
And, well, he's a dad now, so maybe his perspective has changed. I don't know.
I don't know. It's just, yeah. And then the first family reference, I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. Thought it was terrible. But Jimmy's saying Jacob is dangerous because, again, he went back to Friday night. Hey, Roman, you might have a problem with this guy, And meanwhile, Jay's just over there tweaking out, yelling and screaming. But Jimmy's like the voice of reason. Jay's just pure emotion and anger. So
I did pick up on one thing where Roman thanks them. And, for their insider standing with him or family. I don't know. One of these days, I said in our chat, I was like, they're going to cut one of these, and I'm going to turn it into a drinking game. And every time the word family is referenced, I'm going to take a shot. And I'm going to be on the floor after that. Because, my God, we just went full Fast and the Furious on this. It's just family.
And then there's more to come later in the show. More family to come.
Oh, gotta have the family, man. All right. So we get Seth come out. Seth cuts a promo. Basically calls out Braun. Braun and Heyman comes out. Braun says he needed Heyman. I don't know. There's a lot of... In hindsight, and I kind of put this out there, I feel like they kicked Seth Rollins out of the group too soon. And the reason I say that is I think the vision remains more relevant if we would have taken the months that Seth was out and we focused on, I know Breaker got hurt too, but if we had that right before Mania or at Mania, Seth Rollins trying to get back into the fold, I'm back now, behold, your fearless leader, and then he gets the crap kicked out of him and thrown out of the group. And, it's easy to get angry at somebody. It's easy to get angry at somebody. It's hard to stay angry at somebody. Right? In this feud, we all know it's there, but it's not hitting the same because it's been so long. Whereas you could have hit the Insta refresh, sprayed it with some Febreze and stuff, and you probably should have kept Seth. You just had to acknowledge Seth's existence. You could have had Heyman dropping promos such and such, Seth got injured. We had, they took the belt off of him, but the division's still strong, blah, 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 blah. And I don't know, it's not hitting the same. There was a lot of good promo, Braun Break. The best part about that promo was Breaker starting to show a little bit of character, right?
I like this number 2 talk.
Yeah.
He gave Punk his flowers, which I liked. I thought that was kind of cool. And then used it as a tool to insult Seth. So I thought Braun held his own pretty good. And Seth's a pretty good promo guy.
He also mocked Seth, which was great.
Yeah. Did a good impersonation of that, too.
Backstage segment, and Fakir just gets the crap kicked out of her.
I heard she's legit hurt, and that was a way to write her off TV for a little bit. Something to do with an AC or something like that. Something. I don't know. So a quick blurb in the midst of my busy day of going to the beach and doing nothing. Laundry.
Yep. So then we get Penta and Rusev in a non-title match. And it was a match. It was cool. You can kind of feel the importance of Ethan Page. Just him coming out. You kind of felt the vibe. And I cannot wait for him and Javon to go at it. Javon comes out, makes a save. Javon hits the most insane hit. The height he gets on that cutter is just ridiculous. But no, good little match.
It was. Could have been a lot better because it wasn't one of Penta's best efforts, but it was all right. It told the story. So, and that's where we get right now.
I don't think he works well with I don't think he works well with Rusev. I don't think they line up very well.
No, well, Penta's he's a bigger luchador, but can still do a lot of flying around where Rusev's not very aerial.
Rusev's Rusev.
Yeah, he's ground and pound. He's not flippity floppity, but anyway.
So then we get a promo, a great promo, by El Grande Americano, the true El Grande Americano. Basically, he props up Ray, he's giving Ray his flowers, he gives a full Spanish, promo, and then he works in a little bit of, we all know it's Ludwig Kaiser, but I love this incarnation. And knowing that it's Ludwig Kaiser and letting him kind of let his personality shine through is really good. It's so good with him. Because, when he was with Gunther, it was stick up the ass, right? He was just the pompous. He even came out very pompous. And, his personality never really got to shine. Whereas, now that he's in this incarnation, and I think, the other two are also kind of coming through a little, they're embracing it a lot more. But we're going to talk about it because he has a match with Rey Mysterio, and, a lot happens at the end of that match, and it's very interesting. Very interesting. So,
Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch. Look, love her, hate her, it doesn't matter. She's just so damn good. I love Becky, and I love that she basically issues an open challenge. Io Sky comes out and she's like, "Wait a minute, not you."
Yeah.
It was so good. And I know it was just there to set up Io and Asuka. And in fairness, so we talked about the releases. Kairi Sane was one of the releases. Now, scuttlebutt on that one is that she wanted, she was voicing her desire to go back to Japan, so WWE was kind of like, okay, we'll let you go.
Well, so, good Lord, if they knew that was coming, why couldn't they have ended the story with, why couldn't they have put a bow on the...
I don't think they knew it was coming. I don't understand their business model, or I don't know their business model, but it feels like to me, it's a one in, one out kind of situation for TKO, right? And meaning you get, Vince didn't care, right? He wanted talent. He didn't give a crap. I'll hoard all the talent, right? It's like Pokemon. You got to collect them all. TKO, on the other hand, I think they go, here's our budget. You get this many wrestlers.
Yep.
So it's one in, one out. Yep. And I think that, so when you come down to it and you're like, hey, she's solid, she's part of a storyline, and then you go, we're about to lose airtime, how much the real story was Io Asuka. There was more that could be told, but she was the co-star, or whatever this, supporting actress. She wasn't the main, you know what I mean? So she wasn't the main star, she was a supporting actress in that feud, so... And they handled it pretty well. And Kairi said, I already went through this once with you. I'm not going, or not Kairi, but Asuka cuts a promo later and basically says, I went through this once. This is why I had to send Kairi away, because I wasn't going to do it again. And it was well done in that aspect. Because it leaves the door open, right? If you want to bring Kairi Sane back, you can. But let her go back,
And we see
at the end of the day, you just got to be happy with
get
work.
Released, they come back a few months later, and I think some of these releases will be back at some point. It was all right. This show, though, is just... I don't know if it's I was tired yesterday, but by halfway through, I texted you, and I'm like, the show's dragging. You're like, yeah, it's all right. It just...
We were you know what, though? As we talked through it, there's a lot that was done. It just wasn't...
It wasn't laid out.
It's foundational. Well. No, it was laid out fine. It was foundational, right? It's what we were talking about with, episodic, series-driven shows, right? We're laying the foundation right now. And it's not always pretty. We got to get to know the characters. We got to understand what we're building towards. Because, like, even this segment, so we get the fake original El Grande with Ray, and it's so good because Chad Gable is giving up any pretense that he is El Grande American. Like, he'll just be like, his Spanish is the equivalent of mine and yours, right? Like, I know like 10 words, you know, and I took Spanish for like 3 years in high school and I forget about it, right? And like, it's just, and like Gable, like, you know, he'll come in and basically drop the, you know, and then after that, it's all English.
Hola, si, bueno, or whatever, mucho.
It's like, you know, it's like
I'm still waiting for someone to say, I'm waiting for somebody to say a puta or something, you know? Like,
Donde está el baño? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm waiting on. Like, where's the bathroom?
Yeah.
You know, so he has this, and like, the beauty of this is Kaiser shows up and basically, like, I don't even know what the F he said. I have no clue. I don't even know if it was words. It sounded Spanishy to me, but when you know, the true El Grande Americano comes in and does his thing, and he just rips into him and cuts a promo in Spanish, I'm just like, I love this guy so much.
Oh,
I love it so much.
and they're walking a weird dynamic, too, because here in the States, Gable is a face and Kaiser's a heel.
Save it for the match. Save it for the match, because I do want to get into that. I really want to get into that.
Well, actually, you're right, because I saw some stuff in the match that, like, okay, they're
playing both sides of this.
Yes.
So, Usos kind of, I don't understand. Like, I think my problem with the Usos right now is not that they're backing Roman, is he didn't even have to work for it, bro. They're just, it was like calling your dog to your side and just, come on, boy. And they just ran up.
Yeah.
And like,
Meanwhile,
I think that's my biggest problem with
feeds
this.
the dog on a regular basis, and the dog just has too much blind loyalty to run away.
Like, if we would have taken the time to make them work for it a little bit, you know, or make them be hesitant, man, they just dove in feet first, like head first, like into, we're right back to where we were, throwing ones in the air. And it's just like, y'all do you not remember all the shit you went through with this guy? And like, it is like the biggest case of selective amnesia. And I get it, man. I get it. Families fight.
Yep.
But like, there's a difference between families fighting and being treated like shit.
Yeah.
Right? Just because you are a family. And like, the fact that they're just ran right, and LA Knight comes up and he calls him out on it. And like, he's like, what do you got, amnesia? Like, you know,
at least Jimmy listened. Jay started tweaking again. Someone started hitting him with the electrodes.
Yeah, it's just, you know, stay out of our business. Who's like, well, it's everybody's business. He's got the title. I don't know what to tell you. You're running around being his lackeys and his hype guys. You know, go talk to Lil Yachty. Get fucking, you know, pointers.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say something. I don't think I've ever said it on the podcast. I have never been a huge concert guy for anything WWE. And what I mean by that is when The Rock would whip out the guitar, Elias, all of it. I never really cared for it. It was very sparse, even with Cena rapping, that I could tolerate it. Like, it always just kind of annoys me. So when I see Joe Hendry in the middle of the ring with a guitar, and I'm just like, and I know they said it was going to be a Joe Hendry concert. I had a visceral reaction to it because I was just like, on the flip side, on the positive side, I actually thought it was funny, and it didn't trigger my hatred of it. Like, I was fine with it. It was short, sweet, to the point, and like the lyrics, all of which made sense. It was kind of a cool way to say, hey, I'm on Raw. It was a cool way to say, hey, I'm going to F with the Vision now. It was good. No beefs whatsoever. You know, it's going to be interesting to see Joe Hendry as a
You
character.
didn't like it when The Rock was singing to Vicky Guerrero, calling her a biatch and all that, ugly biatch.
The lyrics at times were funny, but it's just one of those type segments that never resonates with me.
And that's true.
Usually.
I mean, Joe had Michael Cole singing along, so especially when we talk about
we can
Fire
stop
Logan.
that shit too, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't
so
need...
Michael Cole is a good broadcaster. He's a horrible wrestler and an even worse singer.
I don't need Cole. Cole at times, we need to cut off his mic.
Yeah, because it takes away from the guys in the ring. Like, we don't need his third man in.
When antics kick off, I need Michael Cole to shut up. You know what I mean? You're still a commentator. You're still got to kind of play it straight. You can't hop onto the game. Because he did it during the Miz segment with Danhausen at WrestleMania. He was singing along a little bit with Joe Hendry. And I'm just like, no. I like that the Street Profits came out. I like that Street Profits kind of said, hey, we like Joe Hendry, and we're going to show you we like Joe Hendry. And they started doing his hand thing and all this, that, and the other. And it was like, all right, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. And like, you want to talk about a guy that has had a great run, it's him. Stop and think about it for a minute. He was the TNA champion, and he ended up in WrestleMania with Randy Orton. He comes over, and now here he is, like, on the main roster after a run in NXT. Like,
and challenging some of the top guys already. So
yeah, they kind of went to, like, I don't want to say like Austin Theory and Logan Paul are the gatekeepers per se.
No, but
they definitely are your warm-up act, right? Like your higher level warm-up act. So yeah.
And Logan Paul was so hilarious, like when he came out in the middle of the song, just losing his crap.
Him crashing out, dude. It was just like
what he calls everyone awful. Like everybody's awful. The fans are awful. Michael Cole's awful. The world is awful. Logan Paul plays such a good heel. I don't think I ever want to see him turn face.
No. Well, he can never turn face. It's too cool to hate him.
Yeah.
It is too cool to hate. It's almost not a trope, but it is what it is, right? Like it's, as wrestling fans, like we talk about the barking seals all the time. The barking seals are going to bark to hate on Logan Paul.
And right? Logan's just going to feed the fuel in the fire, so.
Yes, because he's the annoying heel. He is annoying, like, and he just leans into it, and I appreciate that. So, a guy that I don't think is annoying, who's actually been getting some social media run lately, is Grayson Waller. And he's talking to Adam Pearce, and he's just like, what the hell, man? I want an opportunity, and you know, Adam Pearce is like, Obafemi, and he's like, he starts talking shit about Obafemi.
Overrated.
Yeah. Overrated. Yeah.
And then I also like too, like Seth thinks that everybody's going, when they brought in Street Profits, I thought, oh, Seth bringing him in. Seth really doesn't have any friends, and Braun Breaker called him out on it earlier. And Street Profits and Joe Hendry really wanted nothing to do with Seth, so Seth is kind of alone. And then I brought up in the text message, and I said this is why it would be perfect storytelling that if KO was to come back, you let Seth be by himself for a while where he has no friends, and he's starting to doubt himself, and then you bring in KO. I think it'd be great.
Don't you tease my emotions, Matt.
I know. It's just,
don't you tease my emotions. You leave my little bowling ball out of your mouth unless it's really going to happen, because I can't get my hopes up like that.
I know.
I love me some KO. I love me some KO.
I'm just saying, for this podcast, and like we talk about storylines, that's what I would do. I would have Seth try to still get alliances and people turn him down cold.
I think where this is going KO set aside, because until I see it, I ain't gonna believe it.
Right. I don't know. It's wishful thinking, believe me. Don't
He's
anybody
been
out there
around.
think I'm... Yeah, he's been around.
He's been around. He's on LFG now doing LFG things. And yeah. So that aside, I think this is leading up to the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and it's going to make for some strange bedfellows. You know what I'm saying? So Knight's getting, still poking around a little bit, but I don't know. It's a tough read on LA Knight because he's kind of poking around the freaking Roman Reigns and the Usos, but he still has a hatred for the Vision. I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic that I'm interested to see build. But that's another one, just like I said, that like Jacob was a preheated meal and you just had to heat it up a little more. I think Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins has always been there. I'm actually surprised that they're pulling that trigger this quick, to be honest.
Because really,
and I know it's going to end up being a series, and it's going to be all this and that. But it also makes me wonder if we're ripping the Band-Aid off so we can move on. This goes back to the younger talent thing, right? Like, I honestly, somebody younger is going to take the title off for Roman. I really think that. I don't think it's going to be Randy. I don't think it's going to be Cody. I don't even think... I think the longest standing feud that you have in WWE is Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. And WWE has for years done their best to keep them apart. And when I say keep them apart, I mean keep them apart. I don't think they've had a singles match in quite some time.
Not that I can remember.
Feel free to comment in the comments section, but like there is definitive effort to keep those two apart.
Now you're going to make me Google it, man. I'm going to do research.
When's the last time they went one-on-one?
That's what I'm going to do here. Google it up.
Because think about it. Even WrestleMania, it was a tag match. And then he lost his title and then he got involved in all the shenanigans. But that feud is always there. So
Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins last fought in a televised singles match at the 2022 Royal Rumble. Well, no shit. I was there. Yeah, that's when Rollins defeated Reigns by disqualification. That's when Reigns was using the guillotine chokehold and wouldn't let go of the guillotine chokehold, and the ref disqualified him. It was a terrible ending. So that was your last.
That's
match.
actually a really good ending for those two.
Yeah, but the thing is, nothing followed after.
I know. That's because they keep them apart intentionally. That match between those two can only take places at two shows. SummerSlam, WrestleMania.
Yeah,
they should never meet at any other PLE between those two. They have done such a brilliant job, and like I tell people, that's the longest story that you have going. And whew, child. Well, let's move on.
Yeah, what we going on? How long's Roman? Well, with the going all the way back to the Shield, it's been what, 12 years?
And it's been in and out. And that's what I like about it, right? Like, you don't just keep on running that out there. I know I just said that Roman loses that title to a young guy, but if Roman retires before Rollins, Rollins really should be the one to retire him. Like, if we're doing it right. Like, it really should be them. And then you got to go redo the rivals because somehow we cut a rivals for that rivalry. Like, that's over. Like, what are we, nuts? Anyways, there better be a part 2 on that one.
But yeah.
All right, so we get some Lucha Libre action, man. So Rey Mysterio and the true El Grande Americano have a match. And I know you were touching on this earlier. The dynamic of Chad Gable and the true El Grande Americano in terms of heel versus face, the fact that it's 180 degrees different between those two is so interesting. So interesting.
Well, I noticed in that match, Ray was doing some heel stuff. Like when Kaiser, or sorry, for this purpose, I'll call him El Grande Americano, went for a handshake.
The true El Grande Americano.
Yes. And Ray
True.
had no reason to, but grabbed the true El Grande Americano, but his name's getting even longer, grabs his hand and then kicks him in the stomach. So that was kind of a heel move. And there was some other stuff in there. So I think they're still kind of laying enough of that gray stuff in, so it'll transfer when they go down and do the AAA show.
I think this match in particular, and I noticed it early on in this match had more of a AAA feel than
Yes.
it did a WWE feel. And I feel like it's almost Rey Mysterio taking the time with the true El Grande Americano to get him ready for that match. Listen, I'm going to say it. If Chad Gable wins that match, it is a crime against humanity. And Matt will tell you, folks. Matt will definitely back me up
God,
on this.
you shit on this gimmick when it
The
came out.
Chad Gable El Grande Americano shtick started, I wanted it over almost immediately. I wanted it gone. And then, because honestly, it was kind of a spoof, right? It was like watching the movie, watching Scary Movie. And by the way, they're coming out with another one. Neither here nor there. Moving on. It's one of my guilty pleasures, man. Grab my strong hand. But when Kaiser took over and became the true El Grande Americano, I added true, by the way, but I have to say it because he made the character so much more compelling. And it's just my personality, but I appreciate hard work. And the fact that Gable always took the comedic side of it, and he did good at it. It was kind of funny. Like, he went on his luchador journey and all this and that.
Yeah.
And it was always, it was like, no, that wasn't me. That was no, that was El Grande, all that. It was funny. But when Kaiser took it over and started leaning into it and learned the language, he's cutting Spanish promos. It is so good. Dude showed up at the Hall of Fame dressed like a freaking mariachi dude.
Yeah.
Damn well near. A very pricey, spiffy one, because he looked sharp.
He did.
Complete with supersized sombrero, but
And the more that Kaiser gets into the gimmick, I think Gable sees that, and it seems like he's pulling back. Like he's getting worse at it.
He is.
His Spanish is getting worse. He doesn't even try
he's not even trying. But I think that's by design, right?
Yeah, because you're getting ready. He's going to get... Yeah.
Yeah,
well, no, because either we'll have Gable win it and then make him try to stumble his way through. I hope they don't. I've seen the crowd reaction. No, the crowd reactions they get in AAA for Kaiser as El Grande is monstrous. Like he's one of the top guys.
I don't think you mess with it. And the good news is, we all know who's running AAA down
there. Yeah. Yeah,
Mark is running AAA right now.
And Mark doesn't put up with a lot of bullshit, so I don't think he would do anything dumb like that.
Mark wouldn't do it. Because he would look at it and be like, there's no effing way. Because you'd be slitting your throat for what? Right? If that mask comes off of Kaiser, he'll never be the same in AAA.
No, and it'll kill him in WWE, I think, too.
I think so, too.
But
Chad Gable can go back to being Chad Gable.
Right. But if he goes back, Kaiser wasn't that significant a character. So if he goes back to that, it's just going to kill the character. So he's got to go over. But that's May 30th. We got a whole month to wait for that one. I tell you what, you didn't have to wait long for. See who won between Obafemi and Grayson Waller. I mean, you couldn't even microwave your popcorn quick enough to see that whole match.
I took the under on how long that match was going to last. That's for damn sure. Look,
if that thing
we all knew what was happening.
If that went 90 seconds, it went long.
Yeah. But it did what it had to, right? A lot of people are just he's just squashing dudes. And it's no, that one needed to happen.
You know what they need to do with Oba? You know what they need to do with Oba? Baseball, when someone hits a home run, they get the angle, the trajectory, and the velocity. They need to do that for Oba when he throws people in the air across the ring. They need to get that whole the whole web stats Like, oh,
We
he
need
threw
like
it- he threw it-
AWS stats for wrestling.
Yeah, yeah, like his launch angle was at like 65 degrees, and his hang time was 3.4
Well, if you're
seconds
gonna do
for a
that,
total
like,
distance of 17 feet. Whatever. It'd just
actually,
be hilarious.
AWS is missing a whole freaking new metric of analytics. Like, think about it. You could do like I talked about it earlier. Like when Javon Evans does his cutter, you could talk
Yeah.
about like you could throw up the graphic where it's like the height of him down to the mat. Like, oh yeah, let's do that. You know, he destroyed it, but like this was a means to an end, right? Like this was meant to be so Ova could take over the open challenge, which I think is brilliant. Because all right, folks, calm down. Because the first couple are going to be a little squishy, kind of like Grayson Waller. And then we're going to get the person that can kind of hang, but they get to showcase their shit. And then it's
Rusev.
going to build up from there. Look, man, he took out Brock Lesnar in 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, do we really think Grayson Waller is going to do a 10-minute masterclass with this dude? No. No. It's
And if
he took out Brock Lesnar in 5 minutes. You know, it's going to have to be somebody that can showcase that they can go little to big. And yeah. So,
I can't
have
wait
at
for
it.
Can't wait for when Bronson Reed comes back and they put those two together. That'll be fun.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like now
Braun Breaker and Oba.
do we really hear ourselves as we talk through this though? We're not fantasy booking Roman Reigns and Obafemi. We're not fantasy booking like Seth Rollins and Javon. We're not. No, we're taking all those guys and we're like, no, I really want to see him against this guy. Like all the younger guys. Like not that Bronson's young, but like we're like, ooh, you know, Braun Breaker and Obafemi. That'd be really cool. You know, Ethan Page, Javon Evans, really cool. You know,
Yeah.
we got a whole bunch of new G.I. Joe action figures, and we're just like, we're gonna have fights.
I want to see Gunther and Oba. I want to see Gunther try to chop Oba down and see how that works. And I want to see Oba just toss Gunther around, see how Gunther likes it. That'd be a great psychology match. Just on because Gunther thinks he's unstoppable, and
I like
Oba
it.
could probably stop.
I like it. Well, I like the thought that like, because Oba is another one of those guys. Like, do you look at like Gunther and really think, and then look at the shape that Brock Lesnar was in? Did you ever think that like he was gonna get a worthwhile sleeper hold on that dude? The dude ain't got no damn neck. It's all traps.
Gunther's got some long arms, so he could reach around it, but no.
You ain't getting, but you can't get in.
No, you can't.
Because Homeboy got all the traps in the.
Hey,
you know what I mean? Like
all he's got to do is shrug.
Just doing shrugs all day. I'm just getting swole, bro. I'm just getting swole.
But
deployment gym rats.
I do. Yeah, I know. Guys who don't work out at all, they go on a deployment. They buy $700 worth of supplements the first month they're there.
They got their own damn G and.
Yeah, you get the commander like coming up to you like, "Hey, Sergeant Jackson, you think so and so might be doing some steroids?" Like, no, they're just pissing the deployment money away on supplements and working out three times a day. I'm like, I said 3 months after we get home from Afghanistan, I'm like, he's either going to be a fat bastard or he's going to be back skinny like he was before.
I said the same thing. I would watch dudes do it, and I would just be like, "You gonna do that shit when you get back to the rear?"
I did it, but I was bored. But like, I wasn't buying tons.
I didn't do the chemicals. I didn't do like pre-workout. I didn't do any of that stuff. Well, no, I started doing pre-workout, and I would do chocolate milk for recovery because like I'm old and my joints suck. But we're not here. We're not here to talk about that. The Judgment Day ladies are backstage, Matt.
They are. How do we get on supplements and deployment?
Because we were talking about big meaty men slapping meat, and whether or not if somebody has no neck, if you can get a sleeper, effective sleeper on them.
Thank you. Now I'm back up to speed. Yes, and the Judgment Day ladies were backstage talking. I thought they were going to set something big up for Roxanne last night, being the hometown girl, but just a warning from Finn, but nothing else. everything seems fine and dandy with the girls in Judgment Day as of right now.
Do you do a swerve? Like he's trying to pull Roxanne out because he brought her in. Do you do a swerve and have like Raquel break free?
I don't know, because I like Raquel being with Liv more than Roxanne, because not
I
only
know,
because
but
she can protect Liv.
Roxanne's the easy answer. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but
it,
I think Roxanne will become like a cool face. Like she's likable. She's got a good look. You know, she's kind of cute and she can work. And I think if they make her to a face, especially hanging out with Finn to take care of her, I don't think you swerve this. I think Roxanne's going to go face. And we saw a big taste of it last night in her hometown.
I stand by my statement. Judgment Day is a very successful faction. It does what it needs to do. It's taking young talent, making them relevant, putting them in good storylines, and it. Sometimes your factions don't have to be over the top like a DX, Nation of Domination, or anything like that. Judgment Day does what it needs to do. You might not like everything about Judgment Day, but you had to boil it down to what is the purpose of Judgment Day? Judgment Day was always to get people that were kind of meh out of the mud, and it does that, and it does it well.
Yeah,
You know,
they've never had a world title holder, and well, on the men's side, the women's side, yes, but
they had
it's
Priest.
more. Was Priest world champ? Yeah, that's right. He was when they first started Judgment Day.
Yep.
So so if you look at it, they've held a lot of gold over time.
They had Priest and Rhea at one point, and then they had tag titles and all sorts of other shit. Like
how long ago was they founded? Because that's when Edge was still here.
Edge.
So was that 23, right? So
I think so.
Edge left like in 23. That faction's been going 3+ years.
All right.
Here we
We're
go.
here. You can start.
I really don't have much to say. Kind of said it already. I think Jimmy Uso's like kind of right now the key to this whole story. Yeah, at least Roman acknowledged he created the title in spite of him, but it was a heel promo. And when the fans realized that Roman is not a babyface and he's just an arrogant prick, and he's going to do the same things probably to the Usos that he did before and whoever else, it was horrible. And then Jacob Fatu came out and at least made me somewhat excited. So I'm going to go over some things I put in my notes because I was like, thank God Fatu's out. Roman thinks he made the title relevant in 9 days. I'm like, what an ass. Jacob gives a really good...
touch on that.
Yeah. Like, no props to CM Punk or nothing. At least Cody's giving props to Randy and everybody else. Braun Breaker gave props to Punk. Jacob gave props to Solo. Like, big props. Like,
I'm going to talk about that too.
Things that made me wonder, like, hey, is there a future where we got Solo in and Fatu working together? He left a lot of good stuff talking there. And I just put what a condescending prick Roman is talking about Solo. And then finally, finally, once he starts talking enough about Solo, Fatu's had enough, and then they just start fighting. And we'll hold off the fighting part to the end because there was something really cool in that I was so glad to see after a long time.
Just say it. Just say it. We're just gonna because we're gonna ping pong everywhere.
The dreaded Tongan death grip. Haven't seen that in forever. It was nice.
I was happy to see it.
Yeah.
Well, at first when he went in for it, I don't know why my brain automatically went mandible claw.
Mandible claw.
And I was
same
like,
thing.
Yeah, no, and I was like, kind of looking at it. I was like, it doesn't look just right. And I was like, oh my God. And like,
yeah, once he got him under
so
here,
cool.
yeah, it was.
Yep. That was, when he did that. But when he initially lunged in, I thought he went mandible claw. And I was like, woo, I'll take that. I'll buy that for $1. You know. All right. Where do I want to pick this?
God, we didn't have like the freaking Usos coming out at the end or whatever. Because, I mean, the Usos get beat up and it takes Roman 10 minutes to get out to save them. So why should they come out for him?
So there's a lot to pick apart here. All right. Let's talk about making a title relevant. Roman got double strapped. He held the belt that was for Raw hostage so effing long they had to make a new title. because we had to have this mythological I don't show up to work or wrestle days, but, I've held the title this long. It's part of the reason why you can hate on Hogan all you want. He shouldn't have passed Roman. There is no world, there is no universe that exists where Roman Reigns has had a bigger impact for wrestling than Hulk Hogan. That doesn't exist.
No.
Period.
No, nobody will ever have a bigger impact than Hogan ever did.
Well, the problem is that you cannot grade just on WWE, right? Like, Hogan turned wrestling into pop culture. Stone Cold Steve Austin transitioned. DX, The Rock, they all transcended. Honestly, I will say the same thing about Randy Orton. I like Randy. Randy does not transcend pop culture. A little bit with the RKO, because there was like the whole thing. John Cena transcended into pop culture. There is no universe where Roman Reigns transcends into pop culture right now. Always could change. But like, you could even say somebody, I'll use a great example. Ric Flair. Ric Flair was the metric that bling, for a lack of a better way, bling and trying to think of the right word here, swagger, if you will, was judged on.
Yeah, he was flamboyant.
He was like the poster child for just that ostentatious self, right? But I digress. Let's roll it back to Roman.
By the way, real quick,
It's why-
talk about Hogan. Have you seen the documentary yet on Netflix?
No, I'm intentionally kind of dragging my feet to get into it.
I don't want to get into much of it until we both watch it. We can talk about it, but I liked it. I will say Hogan is still Hogan, somewhat, or was. Sorry, but it was really good. It was really done well. It's about 5 hours for over 4 episodes. So, but it's a lot of good stuff. It's worth a watch. And then
it took me about 7-8 months to watch the Earnhardt documentary. So
yeah, and about 6 months to watch Unreal. Guy
like
quotes
that.
every movie.
I like to let it
ever
simmer down and all right. But it does piss me off that you're going to throw, first off, for somebody that called that title a secondary title during his promos and shit all over it, to then turn around and just go, this is the greatest thing ever. Why? Because you decided to get it? That bothers me. And I don't give a crap how much you want to try to take credit for it. I said CM Punk's title reign was boring and hollow. I said that. However, for the love of God, check yourself, because that title, until it got strapped onto Seth Rollins, didn't mean shit. It was Seth Rollins took that title from being the consolation prize to actually being something worth fighting for. Seth Rollins did that. Not CM Punk, not Roman Reigns. And look, I respect the hell out of Seth Rollins. I truly do. But certain stuff like that, I showed up, I won a match, and now this title matters. F you.
He's been doing
all
it,
the
man.
barking seals.
It's all the time. I know. And I gave this crowd in Laredo a pass because they don't get a lot of wrestling shows, and they probably don't get a lot of televised. Probably even rare they get a televised show. So this is a big night for them. So they were going to cheer for everything. They probably would have sang Danhausen's song if they played that thing all night. So I could see the barking seals, but it was just. Oh, it's so annoying when Roman goes into I call it condescending prick mode. He's just better than everybody else. As soon as he does that, I'm out. I'm because it doesn't sound real. It just sounds so fake and so. First of all, anybody that would talk like that in the real world, that condescending, is going to get his face punched off, and a lot sooner than it's taken Roman. And that's what I don't get. If you want to build a story on realism, and this guy just talks to who he wants, about what, says what he wants, and acts the way he does, in the real world, that guy would be, ostracized. Nobody at work would talk to him. He'd probably get fired.
It's the problem I have with the Usos.
Yeah.
It's the problem I have with the Usos. It's the problem that they just went, like, there wasn't even any will they, won't they. He showed up at Raw and they were just like, we're here, boss. Like, come on, dude.
Scratch here. This is my favorite scratchy spot. You know, come on, Roman. Scratch
Yeah,
it here.
it just, I can't
Yeah.
effing believe that shit.
Yep.
Jay quit.
Mm-hmm.
Quit. Out. Quit. No yeet. Jay quit
Because of him.
because of Roman. And he's right back to whatever you need, boss. Screw that guy. Consequences. And like, it really bothers me.
I still think Jimmy's there, but I think Jimmy's keeping a closer eye on what Roman does. I think you're going to see that in the story.
I think that, like I said, I don't think that this incarnation is long for the world. It is probably only through the summer, and I think it'll all implode at the end. So maybe I eventually do get my Roman Reigns redemption arc. I think one thing that really annoys me,
wanting the Roman Reigns redemption arc. It's going to be on his tombstone.
it's the
if they only did the Roman Reigns redemption arc.
his legacy is flawed. His legacy is flawed. He has never truly successfully gotten over as a face. Ever. Period.
Maybe the Shield stuff, but not alone. Not alone. Like maybe as a...
His legacy is forever tainted until he can pull off a face run. He was positioned perfectly after Mania. If he would have went on his own after Mania, he could have set himself up for the greatest babyface run. And you could have even played the sympathy angle. He burned all his bridges leading up to that point. And then Usos ain't helping him, Solo ain't helping him, Jacob ain't helping him. Burned all his effing bridges.
Kind of like what's going on with Seth Rollins right now. Seth ain't got no
He
friends.
should have.
Seth is going to learn a
He
lesson.
should have been
in humility.
fighting. Yes, he is. But he should have been fighting his way up. But instead, what we did was we came back on that very first Monday night, and the two lackeys went, I know I was a world champion. I'm just going to be your bitch now.
Yep.
I have a serious problem with that.
LA Knight called Jay out on that.
I have a serious problem with that. Like, it wouldn't have pissed me off if it was like this week that we started.
They dove in. It wasn't 24 hours, bro.
Yeah, that's my problem with it. Like, you just all kids in the pool. There is no way.
It was like they didn't even like. It was so quick after night 2. It was like, man, let me have my enjoy my after sex cigarette first before you go again. Like they could have waited.
Like Jacob talking about Solo, and I'm about to shit on something else here. But okay, I like Jacob talking about Solo. I like it a lot because it really kind of tied it back. And when he said that, he had not like I'm gonna go be Solo's lackey, but he had appreciation in his tone for Solo and what Solo did for him. Here's my problem. Let's look back. We're going to go into the flashback machine. And we're going to,
Wayne's World. Party on.
Listen, until we hit a higher budget, I can't do Family Guy flashbacks.
Okay. You're just doing the... I was just... Yeah.
It's the poor man's flashback.
Yeah, everybody under 40 is like, what the hell are they talking about?
Watch Wayne's World. It's worth it.
Yeah, it is.
Feel funny.
Kind of like climbing the rope in gym class.
Damn it, I'm trying to do a serious topic here, and I'm totally derailed now. Now, so I have a problem with this part of the segment. We're going to go to the Wayback Machine. Roman Reigns loses to Cody. That mofo disappeared. Not just left, disappeared. He flew into the Bermuda Triangle and vanished. And then, at the time, Solo Sikoa is running amok. Paul Heyman is trying to reel that dude in like a fish and cannot do it. And now Solo Sikoa has got his band of, he's got his JTP, right? He's got his little clique now. And they put Paul Heyman through a table. Everything goes to shit, right? So you're telling me, in all this storyline, Roman was involved? That's what you just told me when Roman said he approved Jacob coming back or coming to WWE. That's what he basically said. Solo didn't make the call, I did. So you were involved? So you let Paul Heyman get thrown through a table? You let Solo go freaking nuts and just run roughshod? You let all the crap that happened in your absence happen?
So this makes me wonder: are the writers that bad, or are they just letting Roman say what he wants and he's got memory issues, or just doesn't care enough about the story to remember?
Am I nuts for thinking this from a continuity standpoint?
No, I picked up on it when he said it too. He brought you in, and then it goes right back to CM Punk was saying that about bringing Roman in. Like, this makes no sense. Like that these wrestlers think they can bring people in storyline, especially the smart fans now. 30, 40 years ago, we had kayfabe. Yes, I would buy it. But kayfabe's dead.
You can make an argument. You can make an argument that Punk brought Roman in because he was part of the Shield. Shield was for Punk. Like, there's an argument for that.
But for Roman to say that he okayed for Solo to let Jacob come in?
Solo wasn't talking to his ass. There's no way Solo was talking to his ass. Solo was taken over. Why? Because Jimmy and Jay left Roman because Roman shit on him. So we're just going to live in this revisionist, like, alternative history for this shit. It bothered the crap out of me when he said that. I was like, are you for real? Are you for effing real? You went absentee parent. Paul Heyman, disheveled Paul Heyman. We got disheveled Paul Heyman because of that. Couldn't control Solo, got put through a table. So your wise man, who, until your wise man turned on you, wonder why he did that. If you were calling the shots. F you. Like, I had so much problems with that.
They're gonna fumble their way through this all summer long, I think.
Well, they get a free pass. Like, and the problem is, folks, I'm going to say it. Just because the crowd cheers doesn't mean they're a face. Because guess what? Before he lost to Cody, everybody was still putting their ones in the air. Everybody was cheering for Roman. He was still a heel. I am so pissed off at that line.
What they need to do is stop boxing Roman in a corner. The fans are going to cheer for him regardless of what he do. Just let Roman be Roman, but let it make sense. It's just he just craps on everybody.
I can't believe he cut that line.
So he crapped on Jacob and he crapped on Solo right there with that one line. Crapped on both of them.
Yep. Well, he's trying to make it out like he's the king shit, right? But the problem is you were an absentee parent. Like, that's the problem, right?
Well. Now he's here now he's here every week, but now the kids are all grown and can make decisions and take care of themselves. He wasn't around every week when the kids were needed that guidance and to be watched and disciplined or whatever. Now he's coming when it's too late. They're on their own. But Roman still thinks that
if he was that big of a deal, how did Solo end up fighting him for the Ulafala? Just saying. If you're that big, if you're that Mr. Important.
Solo was with Heyman, and when Solo was running amok and then putting Heyman, that's when I liked Solo and his gang. This new MFT just doesn't have that same edgy feel. But I know we're talking about Roman, and it seems like every week we end up on a downer talking about Roman for like 20 freaking minutes. Of course, they have to put him on the show last. That's why we're stuck talking him at the end.
At least he's there. I will give him that. I'm happy to see him there.
All right.
The problem is that like we're recycling shit, and it bothers me. Like I don't want recycled crap. I want new. I want fresh.
If you're
Get
gonna
out
give
the Febreze.
If you're gonna give him some quantity, add some quality to it too. Just because he's there every week isn't going to make me happy. Like, he needs to do something good.
I can't do the revisionist history shit. Like, I can't. Like, there's no way you can convince me that he was calling the shots. Hell no, he ran away. He disappeared after that. Vanished. Because all we saw for weeks was, like, Heyman, like, trying to, like, reel in, like, cracked out on candy kids everywhere. So, I digress. But anyways, again, folks, exciting times. Thank you for sticking with us tonight. We got through it. We lied. We're just shy of 2 hours. But Matt, tell them where to find us.
Sure. Go ahead and find us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, X, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Again, make sure that you like, subscribe. Also hit the notification button. It looks like we might still be doing preview shows for Black Backlash. It's up to Sean with his travels. I'm just here for the rides.
So, yeah, that's part of your... It'll be part of your If We Had the Pencil, but we are going to do a preview show for Backlash. But the interesting part, as part of our NASCAR series, we will be doing that one live from Watkins Glen, the racetrack.
And which also makes it a great outdoors. And it'll probably be in the morning, so there'll be coffee involved. The sun will be shining. Except if you're
Sean
in New York.
Sean will be trying to walk off some beverages, I'm sure. So,
and probably wearing a parka because it's
in a late
New York.
50s, 60s right now in the forecast, so we'll see.
That's during the day, bro. That's not at night, first thing in the morning.
Could be on an Arctic expedition out there, just like, I gotta stay out and drink. But
Woo. Might have to shovel your way out.
Preview show. But BC WrestlePod will be holding a watch along for Backlash. There might be some funny shenanigans coming. I don't know. I'm just gonna let y'all know now. So lots of fun stuff going on. Make sure you check us out. Check out BC WrestlePod. Check out Nick's podcast as well. You know, the happy hour they're on every Fridays. Matt and I like to dip in there every now and again. So we're everywhere. But again, folks, this is your reminder that, like I said, special edition for the next 2 weeks. Short little mini-series. Not an actual full-on episode, just little catch-alls. But, you know, you're going to get, you know, If We Had the Pencil, going from ringside to trackside.
NASCAR.
So, again, woo! And guess what, folks? At Watkins Glen, they make left. At Watkins Glen, they make left and right hand turns. So get excited. Anyways,
oh shit! How will we ever follow it? Left and right turns. My God, do they even go in reverse? I'm kidding.
They do if they get in the wrong situation, but no, it's going to be an exciting time. Like I said, a little something different, so make sure you check us out. Make sure you subscribe to us. Make sure you like everything that we do because we're awesome.
And it's going to be cool.
But Matt, it's been fun. I enjoyed it. Lots of back and forth this week. And until next week, live from Watkins Glen, we'll talk to y'all later.
Adios.